I'm super excited to share with you guys what I have in this little box in a moment, which, if any of you know South Africa, it's quite a miracle that it even arrived. But first, I want to tell you guys a little story. Okay, so last year in August, I was at the Flute Center in New York. We had a nice get together with our community, kind of a meet and greet, and we solidly nerded out on all things flute for a good few hours. I played on a bunch of different instruments, including a Gemeinhardt 2SP, yes. And with that, we just decided to have some fun, and we tried to put one of these little devices onto that instrument. And I have to tell you that almost everybody in that room, so you've got to imagine it's busy Flute Center and people are busy doing their work and repairing flutes and, I don't know, packaging flutes and doing all kinds of things. Everybody in that room stopped and looked up the moment we put that Woodify on that Gemeinhardt, because it made such an interesting, huge difference. And I'm really excited to share it with you today. First things first, before I even open, I'm really, really impressed. It arrived safely. It took, I think, under a week or two. I don't exactly know the time frame, but it felt like days, but it arrived without any issues, which again, for South Africa is kind of a miracle. Okay, so I've got two here to try out, and I have to say I have been waiting to try these out with you guys. We're going to put them on my flutes for now. However, I have a secret project planned. I want to actually try these bad boys out on a really cheap beginner flute, because I actually think that's probably where they're going to shine the most. It seems, and also in my conversations with Alessandro, that these are a really great way to upgrade a fairly inexpensive instrument. So if you've got a flute that is fairly cheap and you're looking for a fairly affordable way to upgrade the instrument, these cost around 120 to 200 euros. So it's a good way to add a lot of quality to your instrument without necessarily having to go and upgrade the whole thing. Plus, if you buy a new flute, you can just keep these and continue using them. So that's kind of cool. But we're going to try them on my flutes. I have got, of course, my beautiful platinum-clad Muramatsu, which I think it's already a really good instrument. So I'm curious. We might still hear a difference. And then my GX that I'm ashamed to say is in dire need of a service. I'm not ready to share why. I should share why, shouldn't I? I'm really ashamed to even tell you guys this, but I had a little accident with it and it really needs a service. It's playing fine. It sounds fine. It's a lesson to myself not to play my flute when I've had only a few hours of sleep at the end of a long week, at the end of a long year. Anyway, if any of you have dropped or hurt or damaged your flutes before, it's the world's most horrible feeling. And I'm only sharing this because I know how terrible some of you feel when this has happened to you. So me being vulnerable here for a moment. The point is, and the bottom line is that's probably not in the best playing conditions. So I'm excited to see what happens when we put these guys on. I think it'll be really interesting. Okay, so are you ready? This here, well, we've got two different ones. We've got this guy. So we've got a cherry wood and let me grab the invoice. It is, I think, a walnut and white ebony. Okay, so this looks to me like one wood. I put that there. And this, that must be the walnut and ebony. Look how pretty that is. It's like two different colored woods. That's beautiful. I think the walnut and ebony one is the more expensive one, so we're going to do that one second. Let's start with the cherry wood, and let's just have some glorious, nerdy fun. Okay, my said Muramatsu. I'm sorry, baby. I am usually very careful, but you know, things happen. Okay, now let's go for it. So this came with a handy little QR code, which we can scan in. I didn't have the heart to take my dog out, so he's lying there in the corner, looking really cute. I'll send you guys a photo of him in a moment. So we have a little QR code, which sends us to nice instructions on how to do this. So we're going to take, well, no, first we've got to open the fixation screw. Okay, I don't know, do we do it all the way? I don't think so. Okay, take off the head joint. And I'm really bad at following instructions. Not my strength. Okay, so we put it on. This is how accidents happen, cats. Putting my flute down. And okay, that looks not as nice as this, but I'm gonna guess it doesn't really matter. I hope. Let's try this. Let's go for it. Now, it might be placebo effect. I'm going to fully and completely just own that, right? But it does feel like there is a noticeable difference here. It feels like it's much smoother. It sort of lost a little bit of that kind of breathiness that I was getting from the instrument earlier. The sound just feels kind of rounder and warmer. Again, I don't know. Is it just my imagination? You tell me. I'm really curious if this comes through in the recording. Let's go over to the other device now. I'm sorry, my baby. That's my dog. Safe to say that Teddy likes this one a little bit more. So, I mean, in all seriousness now, he might have just reached his threshold. But I think it's getting a little bit more volume, a little bit more like focused volume out of the flute with this guy on. I like this one definitely more than I like the other one. The other one's beautiful. This gives me a little bit more depth in the sound. And yeah, which I really love in a flute. It's really, really, really beautiful. And Teddy seems to agree. Okay, let's take this off and play it again without, just to give a nice comparison, okay? And Teddy's quiet, although maybe if I played higher, he'd come. To say, I don't think it's placebo effect. I really do feel there's a big difference. It feels like now playing without it, it's like there's just a level of depth that's missing from the instrument. That's really cool. I'm pretty excited about that, especially for this flute, which is my less expensive flute. It's the flute that I often take to gigs or things where I don't necessarily need my really nice flute. So I'm pretty excited about that, but I'm also really excited to hear what happens on my flute. So let's nerd out a little bit. Okay. Da, 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 da. Okay, let's first just play a little bit and then we'll put on those beautiful Woodifys. I feel like Teddy is my assistant here today. He's like telling me, oh, Mom, it's loud. I didn't have the heart to kick him out, okay? He's really cute. Hey, Teddy. Hey boy, are you sleeping there? In the cables. Yeah, you love sleeping in my cables. We still need to finish up the studio, so there aren't cables lying everywhere. But that's our beautiful assistant, Teddy. Put on this lovely device. That's so weird. Why does it feel like that's the other way around? Because I'm being a bit of a doo-doo. Okay, this is the cherry wood. Number 1. I suspect the walnut's going to be better again, but let's give it a try. Interesting. I can't tell you that I like that better than without it, but let's try the walnut and I'll explain to you what I'm feeling. It smells so nice. I almost feel like this would be nice with like Bach. I mean, maybe it's cliche, but it feels like it almost creates a slightly warmer sound, which is nice because the Muramatsu Platinum Clad is really dark. So I want to try and see maybe if I play something like a bit more baroque, I mean, I know this isn't actually making it a wooden flute, but let's try. Okay, let me share some of my thoughts. So as expected, it had quite a significant impact on my less expensive flute, not as big a difference on my Muramatsu Platinum Clad. However, it, I think, did give me a bit of a different sound, which was really interesting. And maybe you want to go and listen back over that with headphones on and just really hear if you can hear anything different there. It felt like it certainly gave me something different to play with. As I mentioned, I think the space where these Woodifys really shine are in our less advanced instruments. They're going to have the biggest impact there. Can you hear my dog snoring in the background? Clearly I'm boring. Here's what Alessandro said about these two devices. So he says that the cherry wood, that's the first one we tried, slightly less expensive, is a really good all-rounder. It works really well on our 14K flutes. However, it apparently really shines with our beginner flutes, which is exactly what I said. Then we've got the Walnut insert. It's designed specifically for golden and heavy resistant instruments. So this is this Walnut one that we tried, which I definitely did prefer. I thought it was a much nicer sound and definitely made the biggest difference to my Plat Clad. I must say the cherry wood on my Plat Clad I actually didn't like, to be honest. But the Walnut, I thought it gave it a really interesting, different sound. Okay, editor Tats jumping in here real quick. I must say, editing this video and listening back to the recordings, that Walnut and Ebony really, really sounds great to me. It's really, really grown on me. And actually, if I have to be honest, it's probably my favorite out of all of these. Man, that Platinum Clad sounded so cool to me. Anyway, I'm wearing headphones, which does really help here to listen. And of course, I'm really trained to hear my own flute sound and my own flute tone, so I'm listening very carefully. I do want to just mention as well, though, that the cherry wood one, I think was actually really beautiful in the GX, made a difference, definitely, and I'm so excited, as I've said, to try this on a less advanced flute. But I actually didn't really like it on my Plat Clad, and I didn't really explain why here. The reason is that it felt like it kind of closed off the sound a little bit for me. I love that really open, full kind of singing flute sound, and it created a slightly more kind of closed sound in my kind of hearing of it anyway. So I'm probably definitely going to use this beautiful walnut and walnut and ebony wood on my Plat Clad. I'm actually really excited to play with it. It's beautiful, and I mean, Again, how cool did that Bach sound? If you want to get your hands on one of these devices, there is actually a link down below for you, along with some nice discount. So you can go click on that link and get your hands on one of these awesome little devices. A huge thank you to Woodify for sending me these beautiful devices. I know I'm going to have a lot of fun with them, and I hope you guys will too. Happy practicing, and you might want to go check out this video next on a bit of a guide on how to purchase a new flute.